You can go first, Marcia.
Hey, welcome everybody. Welcome to this. Our boy, I don't even know which number it is. We started in December, so we're doing our monthly Mayan calendar, the moon cycle, and also the Haudenosaunee ceremonial cycle teachings. And we're really happy that you come to join us for these. It's a pleasure to be able to bring these to you. So just take a moment to get yourself here. We finally got ourselves here. So just take a couple of deep breaths, and as we're breathing in, be grateful for that air that we're breathing in, nourishing our bodies, our minds, our spirits, and exhaling. And for this moment, we'll spend a short time together and have gratitude for that and gratitude for anything else that comes up for you. Because we like to start our ways with giving thanks for all things. So I'll go ahead and start with the Mayan calendar teaching. Uh, and we ended the last one last
Mm-hmm.
week, actually, was the
Um,
cycle for the Mayan New Year. And that was on Friday a week ago. It was 8 bots, which was the Mayan New Year. So that was ending a 260-day cycle, moving us into the new cycle, and really asking us to think about the path that we are walking in this life. And so at the end of that cycle, on Wednesday, it would have just been this past Wednesday, we really got to really make that strong connection with the ancestors and the traditional ways. And that really it's up to us to help to continue carrying that forward. Um, because what happens all of a sudden as you go on in life, you're busy, you're doing things, you're working, and then even when you retire, you suddenly look around you and realize you're the one there with the gray hair and that you're the one that's going to be responsible for passing on the knowledge and the teachings. And so that's part of the position that we are in, and sharing these with you. So this cycle actually started just yesterday, the one that we're in now, on Thursday. And this cycle started with the Mayan day calendar of one Noh. Noh is all about the wisdom. And so, because we ended the last cycle with the ancestors, now we take all those traditional ways that the ancestors have left us, all of the wisdom gets initiated and begins to be applied. And so this carries us right through to Wednesday, next Wednesday on the 15th, which is 7 Aqaba. And this will be a place of serenity, a place where we can really be in a space of contemplation and have like a meditation to be able to start to see through the unknown and to be able to start to understand the great mystery that surrounds us. Because what we started 20 days ago on one cot was the story that we now see that we must bring it to completion on Thursday, the 16th. And so 8 cot is all about that web. It's about the connection, and it's about completing the process of evolution. So it's a really important part because this is where we really start seeing, let's say, if you're really a seer, if you could see the, like, say, the fetus inside the womb of a mother, you could see that it starts to develop its form. So like our ideas and our ceremonies and our teachings, our wisdom, it all starts to link up, and we understand the story of the 30-day weeks and what's happening and why it's important to understand those energies so we aren't working against them. Then on Friday the 17th is 9 Con. That's the day that activates the birth. So now all the original laws become the instruction to develop what's happening inside this whole web of life, inside the matrix, inside the womb of the mother. Now, the laws are going to decide if it's going to be a female, or if it's going to be a male, or if it's a turtle, or if it's a worm, an eagle, or if it chooses to be a human, or whatever is being created. And this wisdom leads us to Tuesday, May the 21st, is 13 Toch. And on that day, that's where we receive the payment. Toch is where we are harvesting right now. So all that wisdom, how have we integrated it? How have we applied it? We can now harvest that because we chose the seeds and we planted the seeds and we've taken care of the garden. And now you get to receive the gifts for all the efforts. We can say whatever we do in love for ourselves and for our families and for Mother Nature and for the supernatural and for the elementals. It's very so if we do it with dedication and consciousness, what could go wrong? And then on the Monday the 20th is 12 Keneal. And here's where we endure the process of the selection and planting of the seed so that we can receive that gift. If it's not in the wisdom, from the place of wisdom, and we have growth, then that day of 21st can become a burden. It can become like a heavy cross we're carrying, things that we really don't serve us. And it might be karma that we must pay, or it might be due to maybe some of the violations that we have actually done in our own life. If we choose the dark road, then on 8 Cut, which was May 16th, it's potential to be trapped in that web of that cycle of confinement and really get entangled in a lot of those things that really don't serve you anymore. So here we really must choose the knowledge that was given to us by ancestors. You know, what did they experience? What did they do? And how are we now choosing to prepare and receive the great gift of life that we've been given? And in gratitude, we should, you know, think about those steps we're taking each and every day. So the next cycle will start on May the 22nd, flows right into the next one. And the first day in that cycle is 1Z. And that's all about the family. It's all about relationships. And here the initiation can really begin to take form into our relationship with life and our relationship with ourselves and our relationship with each other. And all of our relationship to the original instructions that have come down to us through our ancestors. So the questions we ask is really, how are we behaving and how are we carrying the law of the land, the spiritual law? Because we're looking at the completion of this 13-day cycle in the relationship to 13 Ich, which is the 13 breaths. It's the 13 forces of the spiritual law. And on Thursday, the 23rd, it will be the full moon on 2 Butts. And so that's all about the polarity of opposites, but it's in a place of balance. And it's about us weaving our thoughts, our actions, and our emotions to really make a good weaving for our lives. On Tuesday, May 28th, we're in the middle of this 13-day week, which is on 7 Akmak. So we're in the middle of this initiation. So that which came before, the place we had to decide what to carry as our ancestors' gift, now it becomes our acts. It's how we carry ourselves in this life and what kind of a relationship we build in this life. And on a Wednesday, May the 29th, is 8 Noch. It's the completion of acting on the wisdom that we now know. And for me, it's really important to not only understand what it is that we know, but in instances too, to understand what we don't know, because we really always want to be coming from that place of love and safety and support. And so really being in that place of practicing really what we know in a good way. So carrying that ancestors' gift forward, and we're it's not just about the knowledge to make things happen, but really applying that wisdom again. So it comes from a place of love and support. Thursday, May 30th is 9 Tihash. Now we can communicate it. We can use the force to really liberate anything that's limiting the relationships, the 1Z from becoming a realization. The things like the earth is in such a dire state right now with a lot of the things that have been the effect of man, the way human beings maybe aren't always very nice to each other, and even pollution. That all comes about in that dark side of it. So the Tihash is really a revolutionary force to change the things that are not right. So they become the warriors and the guardians of the earth to activate. 1Z kind of goes, just wait a minute now. Here are the violations that are against nature and against the creator and against life, and they speak it. They don't just sit by watching that happen and not say anything about it. So then on Sunday, June the 2nd, it's 12 Amush. And here we need to endure through our mind to find the solutions so we can communicate it and we can protect it and we can cut off all those things that are not needed with the energy of what it is that we are communicating. And on Monday, June 3rd, we'll have 13 Ich. And here we need the 13 spirits. So this is the initiation week. And it's really about global transformation. It's about an evolution of consciousness and for humankind. It can also go the other way, where we have wars and bickering and fighting and jealousies and envy, because there's always the two extremes of, there's two sides of each coin. And so one can be to the great potential of good, and one can be to the farthest end of the extreme where it's not so good. And it can become pretty a messy cycle. But if we really look at the relationship to life, to be in activation and to manifest the ancestors' gift, then the ancestors really can look at us and say, oh, good, they learned it well. Look what they are doing, and be really happy that we're carrying that forward. And because also the children are important in this aspect too. And the children can look at what we are doing and saying and say, oh, yes, they're a good example for me to live by. And so I will keep watching them and what it is they do and what they say. So that's the cycles that will take us up to June the 3rd. And we'll carry on from there the next together on the call. So thank you very much for hearing my words. And now I will pass it back to Grandmother Renee and Gail. Now we'll go on.
Yeah.
Thank you, Marcia. That was very interesting. I was coordinating it with our moons. I usually go just by the new moon. That really is it's a beginning. As you look around, there's so much light unfolding. Each of us, when we see those plants, when we see them becoming new, and it's like, think. And it's so clear that we should always be in that mode of watching nature unfold and nature guiding us on how to create wellness within us. And everything on the moon was to create wellness and self-care. And so when I hear new moon, what does it logically mean? It means that we remove a lot of the things that didn't suit us, that put the wrong path. Those are things that we need to make ourselves new. What kept us having one bump after another? And so then we make things new. We can create new ideas, pick up some new learning clogs, as they say. Take this time and go outside where the moon is still in her finest. She's giving us the motivation to make those changes. And so And all creation is helping her because they're also in that change of creating something new. And so we have these few days of making things new and getting prepared for that another change that's going to come. And that change is um, that first quarter. And that first quarter, again, reminds us let go of those things because as human beings, we're very stubborn and we like to keep carrying on behaviors. And when nature shows us how we always need to be in constant flow of making things right with ourselves. And the most important thing we need to learn is to forgive ourselves. Forgive ourselves that we're not taking heed. We're not listening to what nature's telling us. Instead, we walk around being angry and upset when nature all around us tells us, hon, we can create that new life. We can create that new image, what we would like to see. But if we stuck in that place, that's why even in the dark of night, the moon changes and she shows us that even in the time of your darkness, you can become lightened. And so that grandmother, she is always watching over us. She knows what's going on in our lives. And she knows that, sometimes we're so stubborn. That's why she has to come 4 times in 1 month. And with that, she has guided us to let some go, let something go. But we like to carry that burden on us and say we like to play, as they say, the victim. We want we want we want to carry that when we shouldn't even be carrying that because life is always being renewed, and that's what the moon talks about. Grandmother Moon talks about. So we'll be getting into that next stage on 15th, and that next stage means what did you keep that you shouldn't have kept. So it goes in that phase every month. It's that first quarter, full moon, last quarter, new moon. So they have that phase where you're going to always be in constant flow. So right now, the most important message is gratitude. When we see newness come, know that even in your body, you have the ability to rejuvenate yourself. You have the ability to heal yourself, but it can only happen when you change up here, the sky world, in that place of where the stars are. And this is what I would use as the foundation of, because when you see in the heavens, it's Grandmother Moon's face. So the top of her is always in that good place of projecting good things to us. And sometimes they see her. Someone said to me the other not too long ago, they said she looks like she's frowning. How many of you looked at the Grandmother Moon and you've kind of seen her frowning? I think I said yes, she does, because some of these people, they just want to keep that sadness and that they're not listening to grandma nicest. So yes, she may look like she's frowning sometimes. So those are just simple things that the creator left, symbols for us to always remind ourselves. Self-care, and most of all, is learn how to love ourselves, because only by loving ourselves can we make change. And that's what grandma is here for, is to show us that constant change that we can always do to make things better. So I say, Yawa.
Well, that was short and sweet.
Yeah. That's what grandma said.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh,
But very sweet it was. And so, Sego Sego Fuego, Yoka, Dine Youngets. Gail Whitlow's my name. And I'm from Six Nations, Grand River Territory, Bear Clan, and Mohawk Nation. So it's really nice again to be here and to talk a little bit about our cycle of ceremonies. So, at longhouses and at during our Haudenosaunee ceremonies, we are fortunate that we still continue to um, know the sequence of events. And I know that right now the cycles are changing and, things are changing, but our cycle of ceremonies isn't changing because we adapt. And like anything else, we adapt to our surroundings, our environment. And So for this cycle, we're honoring the medicine plants. And so we really have to take into consideration that we have everything that we need. We have everything to sustain us and to um, work with all our ailments. And, the plantain is out there ready for picking, especially if you need it for certain ailments. So a lot of our medicines are have popped up and they're ready for use. And the baby burdocks and all of the very important medicinal plants that sustain us are peering through. What's interesting also is we really have to pay attention to what's not peering through right now, only because we're kind of in a place where our seasons are changing, and so some seeds may not have that germinating um, effect for this year. So sometimes they grow and then sometimes they have to wait a couple years or a few years and then they come back. And so we're always wondering, what's our cycle going to be like? Because, we spend most of our time indoors. And when we're indoors, we're not paying attention to all the different signs that we are getting from our nature, being involved in walking the land and checking and seeing how things are progressing. So that tells us a lot about we as human beings needing to be more attentive. And uh, in nature, adoption or adaptation happens just naturally. So you naturally adapt to whatever I guess whatever there is to adapt to, like the rain, the amount of rain, the amount of sun, the amount of uh, I guess the amount of soil composition, because we're always having to adapt as human beings to everything around us as well. And what we don't realize is that we are affected by everything around us. So it's we really have to take that time to pay attention. So when we think about our medicine plants, we think about so much. We think about what do these medicine plants teach us? What is the protocol for honoring our medicine plants? And our medicine plants are medicine for us, but the animals have medicine plants and the birds have medicine plants. And so all plants aren't for human consumption and human use, because we have to share the terrain with all other life. And what makes me sad is driving through different places that have been stripped of all their forest. And that means all of that wildlife, all of the birds, all of the bees, all of the the animals that depend on those forests for life, they're stripped away too. And so that's causing ill health for us as human beings. I don't know why people don't understand that correlation, but when we think about what happens when a forest is gone, well, that affects the health of the people also who live close to that forest. So what happens then is different diseases start to pop up because the land is bare. The land has no nutrients. And so those plants that would sustain the soil are gone. And when that's gone, then we're affected in a deep way. So this cycle is all about honoring those medicine plants, putting your tobacco down and talking with these medicine plants and um, sending them love and asking for their guidance and asking for their healing abilities. Plants are like us, we have spirit. And so it's kind of like when you destroy a forest, you destroy many spirits. And I remember a story that marshes down about trees, and I take and this she was married a forest So, are you able to hear, Marcia? Is the internet going on and off for
Yeah,
you?
it was real kind of sounding like wobbly, and then you come out every now and then, but it's okay now.
The
Okay.
storm out there too.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So, yeah. So we're just having a little bit of trouble. I don't know what you've heard and what you haven't heard, but I was talking about your dad. I was talking about him marrying a forest once, and so it was okay to plant trees, and just the way that, just the way that. So Marsha's last name is Forest, and so that's where that came from. So kind of a little joke thrown in there, to add a little bit of
Yeah.
humor. Um, but we really have to pay attention, to what's to be, because if we're missing certain things from our environments, then everything is in disruption. The bees get the bees, the birds, everything gets out of balance. And when everything's out of balance, that reflects us too, because our little spirit beings, they talk with us, they relate with us, and when we're out of balance, well, then we have to really think about what can we do to make those changes. So one of the things that I believe would help would be planting more trees. You know, getting back our natural environments. Sure, those beautiful lawns look wonderful, but what's that doing as far as warming up the earth? The sun beats down on the earth and it warms up that earth. You need to bring that shade back to our land. We need to bring those trees and all of those shrubs and all of those medicine plants. We have to bring them back. We have to replant. We have to make our environments whole again, because that's having effect on our mental health of all of our young people. Like in our community, over the last little while, we have lost so many young people, suicide, OD. It's really devastating, and our children are suffering with mental health issues because they're stuck in that trauma, stuck in that loss, and so it's a systemic environment, or it's a systemic problem that we need to address. So, one of the things that may come in handy is to, plant a tree, nurture it, watch it grow. And as that plant grows, so do you. And you can do that with a lot of, different medicine plants too. Sometimes you can adopt a medicine friend by watching nature. What attracts your attention, as you're walking? Is there some medicine plant that is calling you and attracting your attention? If there is, then maybe you should make that your personal medicine, and to watch it grow, to nurture it, and to use it as a medicine, so that you make that very strong connection. You know, we have protocols in place, such as making an offering before we harvest, letting the plant know, letting the tree know when we're going to cut a branch, and to use it as medicine, and give thanks that that agreement was made way back at the beginning of our time here on Earth, that the medicine plants would offer offer themselves, but we have to keep respecting that too as we move forward. So our medicine plants are a reflection of us. Who are we? And well, we are medicine. And so because we are medicine, then we have to honor that, and we have to look after ourselves as well. We have to keep our mental, emotional, spiritual, physical balance to our life. If we notice something is off balance, then we have the duty to our spiritual, physical, mental, emotional health to bring it back to balance. And that's where our medicine plants come into play. You know, so often we're we let someone else take care of our health. We depend on that doctor to give us a proper diagnosis, and um, that isn't always the case. We don't always get the proper diagnosis because sometimes, and it's not the fault of the doctor. It's a fault of the medical system. The medical system doesn't have time to get to know you, to spend time with you, to see all the underlying issues that are happening. But you know yourself, and so if you're knowing that something's out of balance, then oh goodness, I've got these symptoms. What could that mean? Well, I'm going to try this medicine, and I'm going to see how this medicine affects my equilibrium. Is it a medicine that will help me? And there are a lot of medicines out there. So our intuition also plays a strong role in our way back to health. If you come into my store, Ancestral Voices Healing Center, what you can find is a variety of medicines. And if you really don't know, if you have so many different things going on, I'll have you stand back and I'll have you look at that wall of medicines, and I'll say, what attracts you out of all these medicines on this wall? What medicine are you drawn to? And I said, stand back so you're not even reading the labels. Just go by what's calling you. And sure enough, when somebody goes and they pick up that medicine, they go, well, of course, because it's those symptoms or those reasons why you wanted to come in for one of our medicines anyway. So we have to let our intuition be more helpful for us. We need to use our intuition to help us balance our medicines. I saw the circles going again, so I didn't know whether the internet cut out.
Breathe.
Yeah. So I like how it ties in. Every time that we've been doing this, it's really interesting how we're coming all from the different place, but all the same place at the same time. As we look at Marsha's blessings, or Marsha's talk about those really important Mayan teachings, Mayan ways. They fit right into what Grandma Renee speaks about the moons, and it fits right into the medicines. Like everything up to this point has always tied in with one another, and I find that really amazing that we can come from so many different perspectives but say the same thing. So we're juggling, we're doing a balancing act, and so now is the time to put it in your hearts and minds to connect with those medicines, and make medicine your friend, and take care of those medicines and respect those medicines and honor those medicines. And more importantly, the key would be to take that walk. As you walk through the the medicines, wow, you're surrounded by so much love. You're surrounded by so much energy that just sometimes just walking with the medicines makes a big difference in your mental health. I had talked about that mental health earlier, and so that's one of the solutions would be to, connect simply by being a part of. For those that live in the city, that's when you go out to the cottage. The cottages are opening up soon. That's when you go spend that time in nature. So this time, as you're out in nature, take that nice deep breath, feel that air, feel why it's so so important for you to be there. And it's because all those little voices are so glad to see you, that they're gibbering and they're saying, oh, yes, 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 come over here, visit me. Because we're told that once we forget our medicines will forget us, and they won't come back. And so that's why it's important for us to sing those songs and to lift up the spirits of not only the medicines but ourselves, because we are the medicine, and we're not disconnected in any way. So the more that we do for that positive outcome, then the more that our families can be helped as well. And plant those trees. That's one of the big things. Plant that covering again. Bring back all of those creatures who need those trees for life. So we live up here in the Carolinian forest, and the Carolinian forest it's just such a beautiful forest. I mean, with all of the different types of trees we have in our forest, and all the different types of I guess, different types of mammals and plants and medicines that we have in our forest. It's just a beautiful place to start your journey back to wellness. So think about those medicines, pray to those medicines, make an offering to those medicines, but know that that medicine is there for us as it was originally determined back when the earth was new. So I'll just put it out there to any last comments from, Marcia or Grandma Renee, so that we
Yeah.
can.
I just wanted to add that this season, I mean, this month particularly in most places, if you do plant food and you do plant seeds in a garden, this is the month to really be giving consideration to that. And I mean, I was just looking at my hands. I've got garden hands already. Just, didn't quite get all the dirt out from under the nails. And yeah, my knees are a little dirty right now, but it's like, though, even those seeds that you are intending to plant in your garden, you go through all the trouble of preparing the soil, and so that your seeds will have a good chance to germinate. But before you even plant them, it would be a good time to really express that gratitude and even pray with those seeds that they really give you a good harvest. And there are cycles to planting too, so wherever you live, find out what those cycles are. Because again, you can use nature, follow the cycle of nature to really get the best effect for the seed you're planting. And if you're putting in all the effort, really trying to grow good food for yourself and for your family, that's just a really good thing to remember. That you can really express thanks, give them all that positive, good energy and love and gratitude before they even go in the ground. And you're probably going to have a much better crop. And once things start sprouting and you nurture them, take care of them, water when they need it, weed the things out that are, going to cause them not to grow so well, because the weeds can be pretty invasive at times. And so you just find the ways that are going to help your food that you are really trying to nourish yourself. And about that self wellness, trying to grow things from scratch. But boy, there's nothing like fresh vegetables from the garden or fresh berries. And I can already see the blackberries this season. They're just loaded with flowers. So I know it's going to be another really good year of berries. I've still got a few left in my freezer, so got to start making way for the new. So I just wanted to add that piece about garden and encourage that even if you don't have a plot of ground to dig up, you can grow things in pots. You'd be amazed what people grow in pots. Just, on their deck. You can grow tomato plants and herbs and medicines, all kinds of things. So I just want to encourage you to get your hands dirty, get in there with Mother Earth, and just really honor that time that you can be there helping to nourish, uh, make some nourishing food for your family. So now I'll go.
Yeah. So I got so excited about talking about grandmother. I always have to talk about her first before I talk about myself. I come from Six Nation. I am the oldest of 12. I am Cougar Bear. My father's Mohawk. So I'm really close to the land and to the sky world, because I heard Marshall talking about planting now. Well, you got to be careful in our area. We
Right.
usually can't really put things into the ground till after bread and cheese.
Yeah.
Right.
Then you can start planting. Even the people around here that had tobacco farms, I had to miss out on my cheese a lot of times because I was growing. I went out to work and worked on the tobacco fields, so a lot of the crops never were put in there till the after Queen Victoria Day. So even the songs that the frogs are singing, they're enriching the land so that they're also singing to Grandmother Moon. So like Gail had said, they're working in relationship with one another, and so this is what we do in the longhouse. We sing our songs before we get the seeds ready to plant. So listening to the frogs singing, I always, oh, I'm so happy when they're singing because they're getting the land ready. And because they looked up and they saw the moon, because all creation are guided by the moon. And so when they're singing strong, they're getting the land ready for the food that is to come. And so even we are told to be singing. When you are out in that garden, it's not to be grumbling and complaining. That's the most important thing that you're not supposed to be doing because your garden doesn't like to hear that. It likes to hear songs. And that's why the winds come in the springtime. They bring a song, they bring the song of newness. And yet again, they're governed by Grandmother Moon. She talks about preparing the land, and that's her daughter. She wants to groom her daughter so that her daughter can be very productive when she gives life. And so, just like a grandma, you want to make sure your daughter's being taken care of. And so, Grandmother Moon is always going to be there in this time of birthing. It's almost like the grandmother is standing behind her daughter and letting her know that it's going to be okay. This is your beginning of another of generations, because each of those seeds that is planted, they're a generation of little ones that is to come, and those seeds are very important. And that's what Grandmother Moon wants us to remind everyone, that songs are very important. And just like that, it's done to for our children. So the frogs, when they sing, and all creation, when the wind is blowing, they're all they're all singing to get the land ready and get us ready for remembering that song to make us happy when we do this work. So Grandmother Moon is very, very influential in everything that we do in our life. And so we say Nyawa to her, always say Nyawa to her. And even when you're feeling overwhelmed sometimes, go out there and talk to your grandma. You're never without a grandma. And that's the most important thing, because my grandchildren, they'll say, "Oh, I saw you last night, Grandma. I saw you last night, Duda." I says, "Oh, where?" And he says, "There, I saw you. You were watching us." And that's what children need to hear, that their grandma's taking care of them. That they don't have to be afraid that I'm out there and that I'm looking after them. So to you, all of you that are out there, I'm looking after you. And all your aunties, all of them, they're looking after you, and we're looking after, most important is our mother, the earth. And she guides us on how to be good human beings, to be the spiritual beings that we are. And so those are through songs and dances. I hope Marcia dances on her land where she's planting, kind of kick up the dirt once in a while and let the dirt go between her toes, because I remember my grandma using her not wearing shoes and being out in the garden, and she said she's letting Mother Earth feel her gratitude. So also, when you're out there planting, go bare feet once in a while and feel her gratitude that you're able to help support the coming generations. So yeah, that's what Grandmother Moon says.
Yeah. Well, we always have such interesting conversations, and our conversations always have to come to an end. And our next time together will be the second Friday in June. So the second Friday in June will be either 6 or 7 o'clock, depending on what pops up in our schedules. And it will be wonderful to see you all again. And you know, just be aware, just be kind, just be respectful. It's the well, in the Ojibwe teachings and other teachings, it's the seven grandfather teachings. In our teachings, it's also the same. So we really have to take that to heart, and we really want to make our minds as powerful as they can be. It's time now to get that power back, and that power comes back through how we're able to adapt to that mind. And so by getting our brain back to I guess a good place, then that's going to carry our 7 generations to come to an even better place. We're at the cusp right now of new beginnings, new beginnings. We're shredding, we're getting way of, we're letting go of things that we don't need to carry. So that's why the times are a bit difficult. So just bear with that. Just know that, and just know that there's love and light and laughter close by. And if you don't have it in your life right now, well, then you go out and seek it, and the world will be a better place. So with that, wanna, and we will see you again. Well, sometime in June.
Yeah. Yeah.
Have a good evening. Let's see.
Yeah.
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 Okay. Oops. We'll stay in. Okay. We're still live. I'm trying to figure out how to do this here.
It's the studio. I had